Hello. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a sheep. And I'm lost. And I'm very, very sad. And I'm not like those sheep that you know. I'm not like those sheep with a pen or a wall or a fence like those tutors from up near Aberdeen or up near Inverness. I'm not like them. I don't have walls and fences to keep me close. I just have to try and stay close to my shepherd. And I've got very lost. I'm very sad. I'm not pampered, you know. But I am sad. And the thing is, I'm a bit we're worried because I've no water. I'm out in the wilderness. And I've no green grass to eat. I'm feeling very hungry. And at night I get really worried because sometimes I think I've seen a lion or a wolf. And I have to hide in caves. Oh. Kids, are there kids here? I can see some. I've got a secret to tell you. Adults are weird. Did you know that one of their favorite ever songs is about being a sheep? About being a bit like me. Do you know what my name is? Can you guess what my name is? Any guesses? It resembles my glorious coat. Fluff. So if you want to know what to call me in this little talk, it's Fluff, okay? Kids, I think we need to help the adults, these people who sing songs about being sheep. I think we're going to learn a couple of lessons today, okay? Lessons that I have learned from a brilliant song that these people love, Psalm 23. Okay, I need your help though, okay, kids? With the lesson, there's going to be 2 lessons, and I need you to help me to shout something out for each lesson, okay? The lesson 1 is this: you ain't got this, adults. You ain't got this. God does. So when I say God does, I need all you kids to go, God does. Okay? We're going to have a little practice. Maybe some of the big kids can help out a little bit. You ain't got this. God does. Brilliant. That went so much better than I anticipated. And you know, I think what would really help them as we go is to keep repeating it. Because adults, I don't know if you've noticed, but they forget things, don't they, Annabelle? Yeah, Daddy forgets things, doesn't he? We need to help them. So we're going to keep saying it, okay? Now, there are lots of things that adults get worried about. The weather. They're so worried about the weather, have you noticed? And they get worried about the price of petrol. You see them filling up their cars with petrol at the moment, and they look quite happy until they turn around and they get very worried about that kind of thing. They get worried about being late. Get out the house, come on, hurry up. And they get worried about where their next coffee is going to come from. Sometimes they start shaking a little bit. And they especially worry about you. Do you know that? They really worry about you. And sometimes they can feel lost and alone, like me. King David, who wrote this psalm, knew about being worried. He had lots of reasons to worry. He had lions chasing him and wolves, and he had to protect his sheep when he was a shepherd against them all. And then there was the giant Philistines with their gigantuous armor, and all he had was 2 piddly little few little piddly stones. That's all he had. And the most powerful people in the land would chase him down, and he'd have to run off, find some caves to hide in. He had some pretty good reasons to be afraid. But he says in his famous song, I fear no evil. I lack nothing. I don't need anything. He says that in his song because he knew that he had a good shepherd. A shepherd who would look after him. He says, "The Lord is my shepherd." Now, you know who the Lord is, right? The God who made everything. The God who made you and me. The God who looks after us and one day will make everything perfect. Yeah, that God, that's his Lord, that's his shepherd. That's a pretty good shepherd, I think. That's the one. Lesson number 1, adults. You ain't got this. God does. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all I need. He takes lost sheep like me and takes us to yummy, nutritious, that means it's really good for you, grass and refreshing water. He gives me the kind of rest deep inside of me that I can't get from a holiday or anything else. He refreshes me in a hot and weary land. Now, lesson number 1 is this. Let's just remind them one more time. You ain't got this. God does. But lesson number 2 is important as well. You ain't alone. God is with you. Can we practice that one? You ain't alone. God is with you. Brilliant. Good job. Being lost is hard. I remember being lost in a desert. I was just 18 years old, barely an adult. And I was driving around in a desert. And this was before everyone had sat-nav and Google Maps, fancy schmancy. We had a map. And usually when you were lost and trying to work out where you were on a map, you'd be flipping over and turning it around, especially on holiday with those tourist fold-out maps, and you'd be hitting the driver in the face. Oh, I don't want to see where I'm going. We were doing that in the middle of the desert, and petrol was running out. Now, I better be careful because my mum is here. Doesn't fully know this story. And we were panicking, struggling, thinking, where are we going to go? Some adults, and maybe some of you, might look inside yourself and feel a bit like that. You look inside and you think, it kind of looks a bit like a big dry desert and I don't know where I'm going and I'm running out of petrol. Sometimes, for adults, and maybe for you, life can feel like that. But David, he had something better than GPS. He had something better than sat-nav. He had a shepherd to guide him. And not only was that shepherd guiding him, but his goodness and his love was following him wherever he went. There was no place that God's goodness and love didn't go where he went. That means he had a friend with him the whole time, no matter what. It means that there was no point at which he could say, I'm all alone, because God was with him. David's song helps us to remember God is the kind of shepherd who never leaves his sheep. He is always there, and we can always turn to him and talk with him. Lesson number 2 for the adults, kids, is you ain't alone. God's with you. Lots and lots and lots of years later, about 1,500 of them actually, a man appeared in that same wilderness. And he said this, I am the good shepherd who lays down his life for the sheep. He also told a story about 100 sheep. 99 of them were doing fine, hanging out with the shepherd, eating the good green grass that he was leading them to, feeding off the lovely, refreshing water. They were in a good place. But there was one, a bit like me, who got lost and ended up away from the fold, away from all the other sheep. And if I had 99 of something and they were all fine, maybe like toy cars, and one of them was lost, say, under the couch, somewhere like that, I don't think I would bother too much about that one. Because I've got 99 amazing cars to play with. But God doesn't think like that. God cares so much for every single one of us that if we are lost, he will come to us and find us. He will follow us with his goodness and his love. Adults, you ain't alone. God's with you. Kids, who do you think the good shepherd might have been? Jack. Oh, brilliant. Well done, Jack. That, by the way, guys, if you haven't figured out this life hack yet, okay, when you're in Grace Kids, if you say Jesus, you're pretty much 99% of the time it's probably going to be right. Sometimes it's the Bible, but usually it's Jesus, okay, life hack for you there. The man who is God, the good shepherd, was with him, and he's with us. Lesson number 2, you ain't alone. God's with you. You know, we were all separated from God once, like being lost and alone in a wilderness, feeling like life's too much, feeling like we are lost without him. It's the saddest thing. In fact, there are lots and lots of people in Glasgow who just don't even know that that's why they're lost, because they're not home with their God, with their shepherd. They don't realize that they need to come back to the good shepherd who loves them. And we want to tell them all about that. And I want to tell you today that the good shepherd laid down his life for his sheep. He laid down his life for you. And that's because his love and goodness follows you. It's because he was willing to come and even die for you. He laid down his life on the cross. And he actually became that sheep. He became the Lamb of God who was killed for the sake of this world and for you. Jesus went to the cross, and when he did, he took away all the stuff that makes us lost and lonely. He took away all the stuff that separates us from God, and that stuff is called sin. It's the stuff that we should do and don't do. It's the stuff that we don't do and should do. It's all the things that we're supposed to be, but we're not, because we don't walk closely with God. Instead, we go our own way, and we've all done it. And I've got to come clean with you guys. I've got to come clean with you. I ran away. I'm not just lost. I ran away. And every single one of us has run away. But good news. God follows you. He doesn't just let you run off. He loves you that much that he would follow you to earth in the form of a man. That means he became someone just like us and was willing to die for us. And we, now that we can celebrate that Jesus has come and taken all that mucky sin off, we can now come to God, and we can hear him, we hear his voice, and he hears us, and we can walk with him, and we can be like what David sang in Psalm 23, that the Lord is our shepherd. You can say, the Lord is my shepherd, just like David.